Those of us who own a small business are self-reliant. We're driven by freedom, by choice, by ownership. Small business people are optimistic, the kind of optimism that's rooted in a great idea. We can create jobs, we can create wealth, we can make the world a better place.
Small Business 2000 with Hattie Bryant.
The founders of this country were small business owners. I am convinced that every adult American has an idea for a business. We take the risk believing that this idea will work. When you have your own business, you're free to act on those ideas. So we can't just do the ordinary, we have to do the extraordinary.
Small Business 2000 is made possible by IBM. We're not just for big business anymore. At our website, built just for you, discover how technology can move your business ahead. When it's your business, everything matters. IBM. And Forbes Capitalist Tool. When people get serious about business, they start reading Forbes.
Hi, I'm Hattie Bryant, and this is Small Business 2000. Every week, we take you inside a business. You meet the founder and the people who help make the business work. In 1995, you met Vicki Rossellini, who created Absolute Care when she bought her first ambulance with her credit card.
When I first started the service, I worked it out of my home, and I really didn't have a car. I used the ambulance to go to the grocery store, to pick up the children from school, even when I had New Year's Eve parties.
Since that broadcast, she sold the business for a nice chunk of change. Congratulations, Vicki. There's so little time and so much to learn. While you're watching TV, come online to sb2000.com. You can read more about Vicki, get in a chat session, or email us your comments and questions. The woman you'll meet now has timing. She's done it right, not once, but twice. The people part of business is hard, but Wanda Bryce makes it look easy. Wanda Bryce started her first business in 1978, sold it, then opened this staffing company in 1993 because she saw a need and filled it. She's always thought, if someone's going to make money, it might as well be me.
I started earning money as an entrepreneur when I was 5, and I set up a stand and sold my mother's perfume bottles. Then I used to put on circuses, and I'd put on shows in the summer for the neighbors, and we'd charge admission.
When did this light bulb go on in your head that, oh, I'm good at computers?
Well, of course, I didn't even know anything about computers. I knew I was good in math. And so I had decided that perhaps I wanted to be an executive secretary because they seemed to have a lot of perks. But then since I could not type or take shorthand, this was not a good choice.
And you didn't want to learn how to make coffee.
And I wasn't good at making coffee either. So I talked to a teacher of mine, and she said, well, you're really good in math. Why don't you say that you're a statistical analyst? And I said, oh, good. So I said, that's what I was, and got a job being a statistical analyst.
But you didn't know what that was.
Not really.
You just said that on a resume.
That's what I said.
Would you advise people to use euphemisms on their resumes to get attention?
This has been a while ago when I was in the beginning Job Corps, but I didn't consider it not true. I always thought I could do anything.
Your math teacher said you're good at math, then therefore you are a statistical analyst, then that was okay.
That was okay, yeah. And I really enjoyed that. So I was, in fact, a statistical analyst, and I did a really good job. They were very happy with me doing that.
So this was a job in a big company?
Yes. And so then they came to me and said, we are going to hire a thing called a programmer, and we want you to teach them how to do your reports because they're going to make it come out on a computer. And so I went to the president of the company, and I said, why don't you send me to school and let me learn to program this new machine rather than hire somebody to learn how to program things I already know how to do.
Do we need to take initiative if we want change in our lives?
Yes. Doing something is not always easy for everybody. It's interesting. I think that's what my parents gave me was confidence, and I don't think there's a greater gift that you can give somebody to let them have the nerve to step up and say, well, I can probably do that. Show me how to do that. I then actually left, went back to school, finished college, and when I decided to get back in the workforce a couple of years later, nothing appealed to me. And so I thought, well, I think I'll be a consultant for a while and see what I want to do. So I was actually computer consultant for a year or so, and then actually got recruited by a large oil company. And I talked to my older brother, and I said, I really hate what I'm doing, and I don't like to not enjoy work because I like to work. He said, well, lean against the company, lean against the system and see if you can change it. So I did, and I really couldn't change it. And so I went back again and I said, I still don't like it. And he said, well, corporate life is corporate life, and I don't think you're really cut out for corporate life. Why don't you think about doing something else? And so I thought, what shall I do? And so I decided that we would start a separate company.
So did that work? Everybody wanted your machine?
It was great. It was great.
It happened.
It happened.
It popped.
It was great, yes.
Okay, so how fast did you grow?
Well, it was very fast. We were doing a Dallas office of a mortgage company, and they liked it so much they wanted us to do their offices in all over, 4 offices first, and then the next week it was all the offices in Texas, and then it was 4 states, and then it was all the states.
Okay, so what lessons did you learn from that business? Because that business doesn't exist anymore, right?
Right. The lesson you learn in that, and this is very tough for a small business, is don't get caught up with one major client. They tend to gobble you up. As you could see, they wanted 4 offices, they wanted a state, they wanted 4 states, they wanted all the states. And so a small company is trying to grow reasonably slowly so that you can manage payroll and manage your cash flow and make sure that you're continuing to produce a great product. So the big company uses up your resources, and then if they fall on hard times, so do you.
And did that...
They went bankrupt.
Your one big customer.
Well, we didn't just have one, thank God.
But your biggest.
But our biggest customer, yes. So we began to size down and regroup and reconsider and find a different niche. And all the time I was doing this, I was providing staff to my clients, a pass-through situation. They would have an office in New Jersey. And in those days, in rapid refinancing, the old wave, somebody would come and steal all your employees. So they would be without people to process their loans. So we would send teams up of people to process. So I'd been providing staff. And also when somebody used a system, I would provide staff to personalize and modify those systems.
Right, you could see the potential there.
Oh yes, I could see the burgeoning need for staffing. People were always asking me to write their specs for them, to hire people, to interview people for them, to tell them how to interview people, to pass people to them. It was all around staffing.
Based in Dallas, Texas, Wanda and her staff of 8 provide computer programmers to some of the country's largest companies.
Well, now, what do you do here at Computer Directions?
At this time, I work on the database, keeping current files for all employees and future prospective employees. But I've done a little bit of everything here. I've been the receptionist, and I can fill in a variety of positions, whatever she needs me to do.
Well, I recruit computer and mortgage people. On the computer side, I recruit programmers, land administrators, help desk.
I'm client liaison.
And what does that
And
mean?
what I do, I interact with any problems, good things with the client and helping place people.
Are we talking about customer service?
Customer service, finding out what kind of people they want, what positions they want filled, what skills they need, and what type of person.
How do you convince those folks who have skills that a lot of people want? How do you convince them to come to work for you all?
Well, you just have to talk to them, become their friends. You just have to just create a relationship with them.
So when did Computer Directions become the company that it is today, or when did you open the doors
Well,
to Computer Directions?
I incorporated in the end of '93, and we actually opened for business in January of '94.
And can you talk about that trend of outsourcing and temporary placement and all that, not just computers?
I think people have lost the idea, and correctly so, that they're going to start working for company A and work there for 25 years and retire. That's very unlikely in these days. And now it's more who you are is what you do, not who you do it for. If I said, I'm Wanda Bryce, systems analyst, I'm not Wanda Bryce, IBM.
Right.
I'm Wanda Bryce, systems analyst. And so is everybody. You have a skill set that you carry with you, your skill set from job to job. And I think that that's where we are. And I don't do temporary placements like half a day or a week. We do contract placements, and that would be minimum of 3 months. But for a project, we do project and augmentation staffing.
The critics, the labor people may argue, oh, that's just your way of not having to put them on benefits or not have to, you know what I'm saying? It's like our way, we small business owners, you guys are trying to elude or evade your responsibility of creating really good work. You know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely. We frequently make that choice with our contractors, what we call field employees.
Mm-hmm.
The field employee comes back to me and says, I don't have as many benefits as the home office group has.
These are the 9 people you're talking about.
Right.
The home office people are the
Right.
9 people right
Right.
here in this space.
Right.
Okay.
I would say, well, good. If you want to go on salary, this is what your salary would be, and that would then you'd have benefits in addition to that. Now, which way do you want it to be? Do you want to be an hourly contract person, or do you want to be a home office full-time employee? Then you're going to make less salary, but the package will be about the same. Now, we also have a policy that when you're here a certain length of time, you begin to accrue benefits as well. So you begin to become like a full-time employee or a home office employee. However, my home office employees are on commission. Everybody has a commission, so that everybody's salary is a function of production.
All right, let's talk about how you do that, because pay for performance is definitely what we would all like to do.
Right. Well, let's take that you're the receptionist, and let's say that you're brand new, and you might expect to make $25,000 a year. If you work here, you will make a percentage of production up to a certain point, so that if we make $5 million, you make $50,000 as opposed to the $25,000. And so the better that the company does, the much better that you do. It's a significant increase.
Okay, how do I get a base plus a monthly?
You get a minimum that you won't go beneath.
Okay, there's a floor.
There's a floor.
Then how
There's
often
no ceiling.
are the payments made?
You get paid this pay period based on last pay period's production.
And your production is measured by how many contract computer operators you've got in the field generating X dollars per hour.
Exactly.
We've had other business owners say, I don't pay on profits because a lot of fancy CPAs can manipulate and show that we don't make profit.
It's not profit, it's revenues.
It's the pay for performance, the idea that everybody makes more money when the team does better.
I love the idea of that. I like a team environment. I like everybody pulling and not the separation that can be done if it's only individualized.
So it works.
I think as a team effort that we do make more money, and I think everyone tries harder.
Every time someone books a job with us, you feel this energy around here, right?
We have a bell we ring.
You do?
There's a bell in the hall, yes. So when the bell rings, we all run out and scream and yell and clap.
TU programmer, baby.
To make a sale is not a single person. It depends on how the receptionist treated you when you came in the door, how she answered the phone, how she got the messages to you, and all the other things that she may do to help us. And so everybody is really involved in that process.
Thank you.
Congrats, John.
Thanks.
Your next bonus to John.
Great.
Most salespeople are paid on commission, a combination of salary plus commission or straight commission. However, everyone at Computer Directions is compensated based on revenues. Each person has a base salary and the opportunity to earn more. Wanda understands the important principle: what gets rewarded gets done. And rewarding people as the company prospers, not waiting till the end of the year, keeps everyone excited and working hard. Pay for performance works for Wanda. It can work for you too.
Wanda is active in the Small Business United of Texas. David Pincus is president of that group, which is part of the 65,000-member National Small Business United.
What caused you to get so interested in what was going on in Austin?
I discovered that through my own personal experience that if a small business person got involved, you could actually affect legislation, and because I did do some volunteer lobbying both in Washington and in Austin, and was effective. And I figured, well, if I can do that on a part-time basis, maybe if I do it full-time, I can have a bigger impact.
Okay, what can we do as a small business owner, in this case in the state of Texas, to help you get the job done?
I think that small business people need to communicate with us and let us know what their concerns are, and also talk to their members of the legislature and let them concerned.
Will they listen, David?
Absolutely. I think that all politicians are there because people voted for them, and they all feel that they are there representing their constituency. And what they do is they represent the people that talk to them. And it's basically, as I say all the time, we are governed by those who show up.
Okay, why do you spend time being involved in politics?
Because public policy shapes our environment in terms of how we do business. It dictates much of the way I do business and how I do business, how I pay my people, what the benefits are that I am forced to give people as opposed to what I like to give people. And taxes, are they going to put sales taxes on my business? The Wage and Hour Board has always curtailed a lot of the way I'd like to do business. For example, I've had people come to me and say, I'm pregnant and I'm going to need time off, and so I'd like for you not to pay me overtime all this time and save it up. Well, I can't do that. Federal Wage and Hour Board will not let me do that. And so there are lots of creative things that small businesses would do with their employees and would like to do with their employees that we cannot do because it's against the rules. And if I can get the rules changed, then I will.
Most of the members of Congress and the legislature want to help small business. They want to do what's right for small business, but I think to a great extent they're misguided. They get misinformation from consumer advocates, from people who claim to represent small business people. And unless you go down and speak for yourself, somebody else is speaking for you.
Franchise tax language that I talked to you about.
You have surrounded yourself with great people.
Right.
How did you get them? Because however it is you did that, maybe other people could learn from you. What do you do in the interview process?
Well, I have 3 criteria. One is I look for a quick study. Somebody that really gets what you are telling them.
How do you know that in an interview, though?
In the communication and in their face. You can see someone's eyes. Did they get it, or are they... And people sometimes make the mistake of not listening in an interview. They're thinking about what they want to tell you to sell about themselves, and they just need to listen and respond to what you're saying, because on interviews, I always tell someone, is a two-way street. You need to be happy working for me as much as I need to be happy having you work here.
And so the second thing
Second thing, of course, the first thing is a quick study. The second thing is energy. And
how do you know that?
Well, my acid test is the handshake. I'm Wanda Bryce.
Okay.
And if you don't feel, if I can't feel your energy, then it's not going to work, because people with a high energy level get things done.
Okay.
And the third thing is the hardest to define, which is a nice person. And I really want someone who is a nice person. I guess everybody's got their own subjective definition of nice, but I want someone who likes people, who has a positive attitude, who is going to look at the best side of things, who is optimistic, but a nice person.
Do you do a 3-month, do you do a, what do you call it,
review?
Well,
trial period.
Period.
Everybody's here on a trial period. The first 90 days are a trial period here.
Okay. So no one's hired for sure until 90 days.
Right.
Okay, so that's a good piece of advice.
And what I usually say, and this is usually true, if I'm going to have to terminate someone, it's not working out on either side of that equation. It would be a rare situation when somebody was happy as a clam and you were very unhappy with their performance. And so generally the conversation is, this is not working out. And they generally will agree with that.
So as a staffing company, your product is the people part of somebody else's business.
That's right.
So you must be the total expert. Do people come to you and say, what do I do with this situation?
Actually, people do that. Although it's probably because I have a large group of friends who are also business owners, and we do that with each other.
What have you learned that, maybe you've never articulated, or that you've not read it in a book anywhere, and it's like, this is what people really need to understand when they're running a business?
Well, if you have an idea that you want to start a business, there's a couple things you got to do. One, you got to find out if you have the stomach for it. Because if people have the idea that starting your own business or running your own business is less work than working for someone else, that's not true. It's more work. It's more work, it's more responsibility, it's probably more worry. The only thing I can say is that it gives you a sense, maybe a false sense sometimes, but a sense of control that you don't always have working in another for somebody else. I would say that one of the most important things that you have to remember to keep going sometimes is that you're doing something you enjoy, hopefully, that's using more of your talents than if you were trying to fit your skill set into somebody else's needs, and that's rewarding in itself. However, I know that if I sold my company tomorrow, I'd probably take a month off and go, yay, how great that was, and then I'd start another one. And I already know what I want to start next, so at least the next two.
The next two?
The next two.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to be out there going until you're 100.
I'll be the old lady in the nursing home that's got her own concession stand.
Wanda is an activist, and she is involved in the National Small Business United and Small Business United of Texas. Todd McCracken talked with me about the national organization.
I'm the president of National Small Business United, which means that I'm pretty much in charge of all of our operations, and our primary activity is advocating on behalf of small businesses in Washington.
Now, let's talk about people, products, processes, and people. We believe that every business is just alike. They've got a product, they've got processes, and they've got people. So do you have legislation that fits in those three spokes or those three edges of the triangle? I mean,
we're working on lots of things and all of those things. Right now, small businesses are telling us in the existing climate their biggest problem is people. Finding and keeping good employees is enormously difficult. So we're working on a number of things that can help them with that. One of the things we've found is that small businesses are having huge increases in the use of flex time, work at home, those kinds of options for their employees. And that's tough. And the federal government doesn't help. There's a law called the Federal Labor Standards Act, which prevents many small businesses from allowing their employees to have chosen flexibility on a 40-hour work week and using comp time.
So if I want to offer flexibility as a benefit, saying, hey, I don't care what hours you work, and I don't care if you work 40 hours in 1 week and then take off 2 weeks, because I just need the job done. You're saying the government, the feds there's a federal law that says I can't do that?
If you tell your employer, I want to work 20 hours this week, and I'll work 60 hours next week, because that works better for me, the law says you can't do that.
So you're working on changing that?
That's exactly right. And that'll be a big benefit for not just the businesses, but also the employees, because the employees are the ones who are asking for the flexibility.
When it comes to processes, of course, that's all. The under processes for us come all, like the IRS. I mean, all of our interface with the government ends up being a piece of paper and a process we have to go through.
Small business owners are the only people in this country who see every aspect of the tax system. They see both sides of the FICA tax. A lot of employees forget that small business owners pay the other half of that tax.
Huge.
And if you're self-employed, you pay both halves of the tax for yourself.
Right.
In addition to that, they have to worry about all the business taxes and the individual taxes. And a key bar at the door if you're an S corporation or a C corporation. So small business is really the only people in this country that face all of that. And they're the ones who really understand the real impact of the tax system.
What about, is there a lot of pressure on small business owners when they invent a new product, the trades and patent office and also product liability laws and all that?
Probably the biggest problem in that arena that small businesses face is just the lawsuit madness in this country. Survey after survey tell us that the threat of frivolous lawsuits terrifies small businesses, and they spend so much money, in many cases, settling. So we're working specifically on some product liability reform that should help that a lot. We're not seeking to limit the ability of consumers to file a suit when there's real harm and real damage and negligence on the part of the maker or seller of a product. But we need to try to wring some of the frivolous suits out of the system. So there are lots of things that are wrong with the way that we that we encourage and grow small businesses in this country. But after all that said, and we've talked about our whole agenda, the fact remains that the United States at the end of the 20th century is the best, most productive, most fertile place that has ever existed in the history of the world for the growth and success of small businesses, and we should all be very proud of that.
You can learn more about the National Small Business United by visiting www.nsbu.org. You can learn more about managing people. Come to sb2000.com. Click on All Shows. Then click on Show 413, a special called The People Part. Don't forget Wanda's advice. Pay for performance. It works. We'll be back next week.
Small Business 2000 is made possible by IBM. We're not just for big business anymore. At our website, Built Just For You, discover how technology can move your business ahead. When it's your business, everything matters. IBM. And Forbes Capitalist Tool. When people get serious about business, they start reading Forbes. For a free transcript of any broadcast, come to our website, sp2000.com.
You have to feel if you don't do this, your life will not be complete. Learn today, earn tomorrow.